Dr. Toyland.
All right, so let's check out the new S.H. Figuarts Indiana Jones action figure, right? So if you're not familiar with S.H. Figuarts, they're like a 1/12 scale, super detailed, kind of like a higher end figure line. Like not super high end, but definitely higher end than like Hasbro or something like that, right? We're gonna open them up in a few minutes just to get a better look at them. But already from the packaging, you can't really see here because of the glare, but it's looking pretty good so far. In the package, it looks a little smaller than some of the other figures of this scale, which is pretty normal for the Figuarts figures. If you're familiar with the Star Wars line or things like that. But we will have it look. This is the package. I got this guy in pre-order from Ami. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but that might be it. And again, these guys often come with a higher price tag than you're probably used to spending on these kind of figures, but you know, you wait and then these figures will be double that price at some point down the line. So if you're gonna order them soon. Don't let them go crazy. Okay. This is actually pretty cool because it looks like he's got interchangeable arms to give him looks from multiple, give him the multiple looks. And he's got an assortment of faces as you saw inside. All right. Let's get Indy cracking. No pun intended. Or maybe a little pun. All right, so here's Indy in all his unboxed glory, looking all fancy. So let's take a closer look at him. You can see crazy detail on this guy. The paint apps are looking really, really nice and crisp. You probably can't see it here, but even like his little buttons on his shirt, they have a slight bit of like a high gloss paint to give him that, just to give him that extra little bit that the Figuarts guys like to put into their figures here. Okay. Now, if you're familiar again with the Figuarts line, you'll know that they move very well. They are super articulated, easy to pose right out of the box, unlike some of the other lines, especially the higher end lines where you might want to soak them first. These are actually pretty good to play with. I've never had any issues with breaking them or almost breaking them right out of the box like you do a lot of the other ones. These guys, honestly, the joints are always good to go. There's not much to say about that in regards of like a preparation prior to like posing. They're all good. Okay, so he comes with a ton of stuff. You can see all this junk here. Look, he's got the extra arms. He's got 2 extra faces. He's got hair without the hat. Something of note, which is a little strange, but again, goes back to like the Star Wars Figuarts figures, which I have a Luke Skywalker and a Han Solo, and they use, for whatever reason, almost like a metallic paint on the hair, which you don't notice unless you have like a light shining on it. You probably can't even see it here, but I'm telling you, there's like a weird metallic paint that is the hair. And if that's like one of the only gripes I have so far, that's it, right? We have our faces. Look at this. And these actually look a lot like Harrison Ford, which is wild because there's so many, Han Solo and Indiana Jones figures that just don't look like Harrison Ford. I always thought that maybe he was one of those really difficult actors to get a likeness of, right? And I don't know, they seem to do it pretty well here. I don't know. Okay, but he's got his whip. He's got his other whip on his little belt right there. He's got his bag of sand, his idol, his satchel or man purse. He got his pistol. Something interesting, the pistol doesn't actually go in the holster. The holster is shut. Again, I don't really hate it. It could be worse. It could look like the Hasbro one, but we'll discuss that in a second. It's got a whole bunch of hands. We got firing hands. We got holding hands. We got the Fonzie hands. No, I'm joking. That's actually for like the whip. Okay, some open hands. Then he's got the cool little medallion from the first movie. He's all decked out for the first film. Yeah, that's all his stuff. Right, so here he is. So he's got something a little strange about this, he's got single jointed arms, right? Again, still gets a lot of movement, but single jointed arms in this day and age, a little strange, right? Single jointed legs. Again, while he has great movement from the single jointed legs, they are single jointed, which is, you know, does limit you in some way. Maybe it's because like the folding of the pants, they wanted it to, I guess, like form over function, but he does have the double jointed toes, so you can still get into a lot of dynamic poses, rockers. There's a whole lot of, you can see there's a whole lot of stuff going on up there. All right. It's got waist, ab crunch. The neck is neat because he's got like this, you know, the two-part neck, so he can move down there and he moves up there. And what is this? The head, I mean the head, can't talk. The hat of Indiana Jones actually comes off the figure. Go figure. So this is actually pretty cool. So they gave you this head right here, which is that weird gold color, but not unpainted, so you can see what they're working with. And the hat, you know, kind of goes right on. But again, this is where the Figuarts figures are so much fun. You can take the hat off, you take the head off. And again, don't need to soak this guy. That comes right off. These things are made to play. Take his face off. So you can actually put any one of the faces on the hat head. All right. Put the hat on. Boom. Now you got Indy doing his little Indy sneer. It belongs in a museum. All right, so then we don't want that though. We want to take this smiley face and put his fancy hair on him. And he's going to be like, I'm having a great hair day. How about that? How about that? All right, so we'll put this back on him like that. Come here, you. All right, so now let's check out those other arms, right? We want Indy from a little later in the film. Got a little hot in the desert. All right, boom. Take his arms off. Again, they come right off. Super, super easy. Coat comes off. You got those little shoulder pieces that kind of come off of here too. So just make sure you have the right shoulder piece on there. It goes right on. Again, super easy. Doesn't pop off either. So again, it goes right on how it's supposed to. Okay. He's looking all suave in his rolled up sleeve look. And I forgot to even realize it too. I guess this set of arms comes with hands too. So you have tons of hands. There's so many hands at Indy. You can do all sorts of fun things, right? So how does this Indy hold up next to the 6-inch Hasbro Indy? Well, here he is. Now, I thought in the package he looked a little short, and in actuality, he's not really that much shorter. I mean, honestly, he looks almost around the same height. Maybe it's just his proportions are better. I'm not really sure, but this looks a little more natural than this one. And you can even see the face. This looks like Indy. This looks like his stunt double, which is cool. I mean, for the price point for this Hasbro figure, it's cool having it. I don't dislike having it. I have probably too many of these Indy figures that I probably need, but they're cool. I mean, it's Indiana Jones. Can't go wrong. Comes with a lot of the same stuff. You know, he has the satchel. You know, this is a little bigger than this one. Comes with the holster, except this one has that stupid, well, anyway. This one is the worst holster in the history of anything. And this piece right here, again, what year is it? This is what we're still using to hold his whip on and things like that. So anyway, this one moves better, looks better, higher price point. Hat comes off. If you're looking for a really nice Indy, this is the one. If you're looking for an Indy just to have in your collection, this looks in the Hasbro one is good. It's not bad, but this is the one you want. The S.H. Figuarts Indiana Jones. All right, so let's get this stuff cleared out of the way. Excuse me, all Indy stuff. Let's see Indy against some other figures that are his scale, right? So let's bring over a Marvel Legends Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, right? So you got him here. They're around the same size, I mean, for the most part. I mean, I guess to scale, Tobey Maguire is shorter in real life than Harrison Ford, so I guess from that standpoint, like, he should really be probably a little taller. But again, the Figuarts figures are often a lot smaller than the Hasbro figures. So again, I'm not really sure in what world you'd have Indy playing around with Spider-Man, but you know what? You never know. Let's put him with a Star Wars Black Series figure. Now, I grabbed one of the female figures because usually they're traditionally smaller than some of the other figures. Although, I mean, the Black Series figures in general are smaller than most of the other Hasbro figures, which we'll get into that in a little bit. So if you hold them right next to one another, there, you know, he's a little taller. But Mara Jade is probably like a taller character anyway, in my mind anyway. So let's see. Looks pretty good. Actually pairs pretty well with her. Let's go over to the G.I. Joe Classified. Now, I grabbed one of these smaller G.I. Joe characters. There are, like, this series is all over the place with their heights. So, like, for instance, Serpentor is like a giant next to Chuckles over here, right? So we're gonna, next to him, side by side, Chuckles looks like a big guy next to Indy. So if you saw Indy next to some of the other larger G.I. Joe Classified figures, he'd probably look like a dwarf. So probably wouldn't mesh so well with them in terms of like things like that. But he, you know, again, he will with the Indiana Jones line. So, and that's pretty much what you want, right? Okay, so let's see Indy next to the Mezco 112 Conan. Now, I like this one basically because, I mean, Conan's supposed to be a big dude, big character, right? So you see him next to him, and it does work pretty well. He does scale well with Conan. Now, I don't have many of the 112 figures. I just don't really collect those currently. So, but with this one, I'm assuming he scales well with the other 112 figures. So if you have a lot of those and you want to kind of mesh them together with Indy as well. Indy's probably a little shorter than most of them, but again, they're mostly heroes and, you know, super powered characters and all things like that. So I think that does work with the scale, because Indy at the end of the day is, you know, just an archaeologist, just a humble professor who happens to do crazy things, right? So we're gonna put him over here. So how does Indy scale against some of maybe the larger scale figures like Mythic Legions and NECA and all that stuff? Well, first let's throw him in with McFarlane. So we're gonna bring in the Witcher. That's probably not gonna work. Yeah, he can throw all the coins at him he wants. It's not gonna work. All right, Witcher, get out of here. All right, let's bring in the NECA Ninja Turtle. Some Raphael action over here. Again, what world would this make sense? It doesn't, but you know what? I'm okay with it. The scale-wise, because the turtles are a little shorter. Now, if I grabbed another character from NECA, I mean, they might look a lot larger, but again, mutants, it doesn't really matter. Scale in that sense doesn't really matter all that much. Okay, let's grab a Mythic Legions figure. So I have the Monkey King hanging out. I mean, listen, Mythic Legions work well regardless. Now, if you're going to go with like the human style figures, I'd probably say those might not work so well, but all the monsters and critters and demons and all that junk, yeah, you can make Indy work with these guys. He works just fine. Okay. And then just for fun, let's throw him. Just be careful now. Don't want to get cursed. So we got Mr. Danhausen over here. Danhausen's a lot bigger, but again, these are larger scale figures, not really intended to scale with the Indy over here. I just wanted to point out that some of the critters who are not human but humanoids, like the Monkey King or Ninja Turtles, those will probably work with him. Human characters, probably not so much, just because he is scaled. He's a 1/12 scale figure, so he's going to be a smaller scale. But again, SH Figuarts, like I was saying before, they do tend to run shorter. They're actually larger than they used to be. There's some of the original ones, not the original ones, but ones from maybe, let's say, 5-10 years ago, are actually even smaller than these. Like the original, like super articulate Spider-Man is tiny when you compare them to like the newer SH Figuarts Spider-Man, who seems to almost be like almost like a half head taller, I think, something crazy like that. So they are like upping the scale a little bit. It's probably why he does pair well with some of the other figures. But yeah, here he is, Indiana Jones, S.H. Figuarts. You can get this guy now, I believe now. Again, I pre-ordered mine, and I got it, you know, a couple months later. If you don't basically jump on it while it's around, like everything else, S.H. Figuarts, it will go crazy high in aftermarket value, and you'll probably never get it for a decent price again. So it's one of those things, if you want it, jump on it while you can, or pay for it later, right? All right, take care.
It belongs in a museum.